Today is going to be fun. Today we're going to be talking about a mid-year financial reset.
I did it for myself and it was such a good exercise.
As much as you obviously have a plan beginning of the year, things do change. And I think like this mid-year reset, you kind of realign things. Looking back 6 months, I did this, ticked it off, which is a great feeling. When you tick things off your list, it's an amazing feeling.
I really like this idea of, is your money going to where your goals are? Yeah.
What is actually involved?
First step, and it's a 4-step process. So the first step is to refresh your memory about what your goals are. The next step is to check in on your progress towards your goal. And then the last step, and then we can go into what your experience was, because I want to know how it was when you did your reset, is to...
Welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking. I'm Anelisa Maswana, the Social Product Manager at Franc. And today I'm joined by, drumroll.
Hello, I'm Cassidy Anelisa. I'm Head of Growth at Franc. And I think this is the first time that we've been on a Frankly Speaking episode together.
I know, right?
I'm really excited.
Me too. And guys, before we kick this very interesting, because this is probably gonna be my favorite episode, because this topic, juicy. But before we kick it off, please give us a like. And if you've been enjoying our Frankly Speaking episodes, please do subscribe. I'm gonna give you 2 seconds. 1, 2, and then give us like a little thumbs up or like an orange heart if you've subscribed. Now, Cass.
Yes.
Today is gonna be fun because I actually wanna hear all about what we're gonna be talking about. And to tell you guys, today we're gonna be talking about a mid-year financial reset. And Cass recently wrote a blog about it. I actually want to find out what inspired the blog.
Yeah, so we obviously follow all our partners that we've worked with over the years at Franc, and Talia Plaikes of Fashionably Financial is one of them. Mm-hmm. She makes amazing content, so if you don't follow her yet, definitely do. And she recently did a reel about a mid-year financial reset, and I loved the concept. I did it for myself, and it was such a good exercise. You say it's fun. It depends how it goes and how you've been doing for the last 6 months. Mine wasn't so much fun, but it was definitely very valuable because, of course, we are all fired up and excited at the beginning of the year. 1st of January, we're setting all these New Year's resolutions and goals, and we're setting up all our investments, and we're committing to, saving X amount of rand.
Vision boards.
All the vision boards. But then kind of as the months, go by and life happens, things change, your goals kind of fall on the wayside. And I realized I didn't even remember what goals I'd set in January. Yeah.
You didn't write them down?
I did, but I couldn't find them. And I hadn't looked at them. So I had to look on my notes on my phone. I had to look in my diary that I'd started, my journal in January. It wasn't there. I had to look through all the papers on my desk. I realized I needed to sort my life out, at the back of this as well. But yeah, so once I'd found my New Year's resolutions, it was really a great process to look back at them, see what was relevant, and do a bit of a recon of where am I at and what's my progress.
No, completely agree with you. Now, before we kick it off and to discussing what our mid-year financial reset little
experiences were.
Yeah. What is actually involved in, what's the process of doing a mid-year financial reset?
Okay, so I riffed off Talia's process. Very much kudos to her. She pretty much laid out the foundation. But the first step, and it's a 4-step process, love a good step process. I think it just makes it all very systematic. So the first step is to refresh your memory about what your goals are. If you're like me and you've completely forgotten what your goals are, find them, refresh your memory of them, read them over again. And again, trying to be a little bit more systematic about it. What I suggest you do is ask yourself 4 different questions and score each of your goals based on those 4 questions. I did it out of 3, so like 3 stars each. I just found that easier. And that'll just help to reprioritize your goals. So those questions are, how relevant is this goal to your life and to your year right now? Life happens, as we said, and things change and it might not be relevant anymore. How important is this goal in the greater scheme of your life and year? How urgent is it? And those 2 things are obviously very important. Something might are very different.
Mm.
Something might be very important, but not, you don't have to do it this year, but something might be really urgent. It's really important that you do it this year.
Yeah.
That's
Good. That's a good one.
And then the last one is, how much progress have you actually made in achieving that goal? Especially when it comes to paying off your debt, they call it the snowball versus the avalanche. And the snowball is very much like, those things that you've already made progress on, keep making progress on them, because it's going to be that feeling of gratification when you've achieved your goal, and it's going to give you the motivation for the next goal.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes it's nice to prioritize that. So each of those goals are then going to have a score out of 12, and you can then start to reprioritize based on those that have the highest scores, right? Then the next step is to check in on your progress towards your goal. We're going to link out to a personal budget planner template in the description below, which is really, really useful. It will be useful for the next step, but for this step, there's a tab called Investments and Savings. And there you can say, cool, I had an investment for my retirement. It was in this fund, the Franc offshore equity fund, for example. And this is how much I've put towards it. This is what I started with. This is how much I put in. This is the growth. And you can start to track exactly how much you have in it. I discovered, and I know we're going into this later, but I discovered that I'd actually already set up my whole emergency fund, which I didn't realize, which was a goal of mine. So it was
That's a nice thing to realize.
So nice. I was so happy with myself because I hadn't really kept track of my investments and savings, which is really nice because it was obviously growing without my even thinking about it, which is what's so great about investing. But it's just really good to do a recon of like, cool, those are my goals. This is what I was saving or investing towards it. This is how far I've come. And then the third one, which is the least fun one, unfortunately, but also using your personal budget template to track your expenses for the last 6 months. Where's your money been going? And I really like this idea of, is your money going to where your goals are? Yeah, because, I think it's so easy just to spend on things that you don't really need. But are you actually spending for things that are important to you that you want to work towards? We've mentioned this in a few episodes before, but the 22/7 app is really, really helpful to track your expenses so that you're not going back in your bank statements for the last 6 months.
It is.
Because it just automatically categorizes for you all your expenses. So you can start to see, cool, this went to groceries, this went to my transport and fuel, et cetera, et cetera. And then the last step, and then we can go into what your experience was, because I want to know how it was when you did your reset, is to budget for the rest of the year. So in our budget planner template, we have kind of looking back, so what you spent in each month in each category, and then looking forward. So what do you expect to spend? And you'll start to see there's certain patterns. So there might be certain months where you spend more on gifts, for example, because you know that there's important birthdays, or more on groceries because you're not eating out as much, or I don't know, probably eating out more in summer, for example. So you can start to predict where your spending is going. And obviously now that you've reprioritized your goals, you can then also start to budget your savings and investments, which is really important. And I recommend doing that first and then slotting in kind of the nice to have expenses around that so you know what you have left.
That is, those steps, I feel like just doing them just makes you realize that if you didn't actually do your budget beginning of the year, or rather do your financial reset, you can still catch up and you can still like make steps to get on track.
Yeah, because we still have 6 months of the year to achieve our goals. That's a good amount of time.
Agreed. Now, to get into our experiences, I want to know everything about your experience when you did what you uncovered rather, when you did your reset.
So we mentioned the good thing. I uncovered that I had an emergency fund, or had achieved my emergency fund goal.
Nice. Nice life problem.
Nice life problem. Life solution, definitely. A life problem is that I'm spending way too much on groceries. I love food and I love cooking. So I always buy more expensive ingredients, which I realize I really need to rein in and be better about. So that was a big one for me. I also uncovered that I was paying for a subscription, actually for work, just because I'd signed up for a free trial and forgot to cancel.
And you gifted this, you literally gifted everyone those free trials.
Yeah.
Not knowing that you're going to actually end up paying
so
for it.
at least we got some benefit out of it. But
Yeah.
it was a nice saving now that I've cancelled the subscription.
How long did it go on for?
3 months?
No.
So this is why it's a really good idea to keep track of your expenses, because then you realize where your money's going. Anelisa, I know you did the recon as well. What did you discover, and how was your experience of it?
It's actually the opposite of your emergency savings. I realized that I actually was not putting as much as I actually thought I would have.
Which is also important to know.
Yeah. So now I'm aggressively trying to, take steps to get on track. Something else I uncovered is that I knew I was going to go on holiday soon. And then I started saving for that holiday too late. And so, missed a few things around, because now I'm trying, that you actually need to put savings towards your emergency fund, which is why I'm in the back foot.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to catch up on something I know is coming. So guys, if you know something is going to happen, just, take steps to plan. So I could have planned better.
Yeah.
That's literally what I'm kicking myself.
Which is what we're doing right now, right? So it's a good learning to have.
It is. No, it definitely is. Is there anything else that you were maybe for the rest of the year I need to think about?
I definitely needed to reprioritize. My life situation very much changed. So what I wanted to achieve in the first half of the year, I've decided to kind of, postpone and reprioritize, which was buying a house. I think it was a really, really good exercise. And something I do want to shout out to our audience is something that Talia said, and I really resonate with it. She said, don't just hark on the expenses that, you did that you regretted or where you didn't save. Rather focus on your wins, because 6 months into the year, it's been a tough year for a lot of people. Things are expensive, and it's very easy to forget your goals along the way. This is a really good opportunity for you to remind yourself of your goals, and also to kind of give yourself a pat on the back for where you did win, to give yourself a bit of motivation to go into the second half of the year.
No, I completely agree with that, because as much as you obviously have a planned beginning of the year, things do change. And I think this mid-year reset, you kind of realign things, and if you need to, swap things around, it gives you the time to be okay, this is what I want to achieve for the rest of the year. And looking back 6 months, I did this, ticked it off, which is a great feeling. When you tick things off your list, it's an amazing feeling.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth punting Franc a little bit here, obviously. So there's ways in the app to really set yourself up for success. And I think this is a great opportunity for you to do that. So one way is to edit your goal name. I really love to give it a very personal goal. Give it an emoji. I always love to add an emoji to my names, obviously. And to give it an image, so you have something to kind of visualize. And I think especially in the middle of the year when it's so cold, you need a little extra oomph to reach your goals. Is there anything else in the app that you really love that helps you to achieve your goals?
I think for me, it's just setting up automated savings. So I don't need to actually worry about going into the app. And so I basically have a stop order now that I figured out how to do it on my banking app. So now I have a stop order that I know a certain amount of money is going towards my goal. Don't need to worry about it. It's it just happens, which is, I feel takes the indecisiveness and also makes me disciplined, because I already know that, okay, money is going away. I can't do anything about it. It's going towards my savings. The rest, I can figure out what to do.
You're not tempted to spend that somewhere else.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's fantastic. One more is locking your goal, which is something that you can do on your investment goals on the Franc app. So what that means is you can still access that money, but if you haven't reached your goal yet and you want to withdraw that money, you have to pay 50 Rand kind of fine, which goes into a community pot that one person who still has their goal locked can win every month, which is a really great win.
Yeah, and you can also stand a chance to win. Obviously, if you keep your goal locked.
Exactly. And it's just a nice way to remove temptation to dip into your investments and your savings if you haven't reached your goal yet.
Cass, it's been a pleasure.
It really
We
has.
need to do these things more often.
I agree.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this episode. I hope you guys find the tools on the description to help you with your mid-year financial reset. And if you are not where you want it to be, just know that you still have the rest of the year to plan out your finances and still get back on track. Like me and Cass, we also have things that we want to obviously still work on and still achieve. So let's do it together. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up and drop us a comment or, orange heart emoji in the comments. And we'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.